Did you know that there is a World Sleep Day happening every single year? In 2019, the World Sleep Day took place on the 15th of March 2019. And I'm really delighted to have been part of it as a delegate for the second year running. This year's theme was Healthy Sleep, Healthy Aging. And I think we all know how important sleep is when it comes to having a really long and healthy life for years to come. We are here at the Sleep Show, which is part of the Mindful Living Show, to raise more awareness about insomnia and other sleep-related issues. We're going to spend the next half an hour talking about sleep from my perspective and my experience. So I will ask some questions. So obviously, if you're happy to share, then it will be great. If you just want to listen, that's okay too. I know I've attended talks before when I just wanted to listen to the information that was given to me. So just out of curiosity, how many of you do actually really struggle with their sleep? If you can raise some hands. Okay, that's fine. We will go through different elements of sleep, so you might familiarize yourself with one or the other. And it will all come from my methodology that I've gone through over the years and developed. As you can see on the slides, the Sleep Deep method. A little bit of my story is that I struggled with insomnia because my lifestyle didn't cater for what my body needed. So initially, as I was growing up, I was a really good sleeper. And then I moved to London. I'm originally from Hungary, so I moved to London, and London is a 24/7 place. So I started doing lots more things that I did before, which meant that I started cutting down on sleep. I started eating and drinking and behaving differently, which meant that it started to affect my sleep. I got to a point in my mid-20s where I used to wake up with bleeding nose at night because I was that exhausted. So when some of you might think about the fact that you're finding it really hard to get into sleep, I know how it feels. Or if you wake up about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, I can also feel your pain because I experienced that as well. And then not being able to get back into sleep. And when the morning comes, you have to practically drag yourself out of bed because you might not have enough energy to be able to get going in the day. So a lot of the times when I work with clients, their struggles are struggles that I experienced myself as well. So over the last 10 years, I spent time researching sleep and really figuring out what helps us to develop what I call the skills around sleep. Because what I believe is that if you don't have an actual sleep disorder, a physical disorder, then it's only skills that you need to develop around sleep to guarantee that really refreshing sleep for years to come. And I see it in my client work, and I have seen it in my transformation as well. So this is what we're going to cover a little bit more in this talk. So we all want to get good sleep. And we all get told that a healthy or a normal adult needs about 7 to 9 hours of sleep, both in terms of good quality and the quantity of hours as well. But the 9 to 7 is still quite a big range. So how do you know how many hours of sleep do you need? Often we don't. So one of the things that I discovered over the years is every single one of us has a slightly different sleep need, both in terms of hours and what will help us to really produce great quality of work during the day, whatever work that means for you. So just a few statistics. In 2017, 12 million prescriptions for sleeping pills were written. And that just shows the scale of a problem that is existing just in the UK, but globally as well. And again, those are just the people who go to their GPs and ask for sleeping pills. So this is a big problem. 1 in 3 of us are struggling. And whether or not that's a couple of weeks worth of bad sleep, or it's chronic insomnia, which is months and months or even years, a lot of us struggle. But we don't tend to necessarily talk about it. There's still a bit of a stigma around sleep. It's opening up a lot more now, but we still sometimes hide it because we're concerned about what people might think, especially when you think about work environment. So what are the sleep problems that you might experience? Because it's a big group, we're going to actually go through some of the things that are on the slide. So think about your situation. What are the problems that you are struggling when it comes to your sleep? Is it that you're finding it hard to switch off? Is it that maybe you're working shifts and that's impacting your sleep? Or is it that you actually have a sleep disorder? You might not be aware of the fact that you have a sleep disorder. How many of you actually understand the difference between a sleep disorder and just not so great sleep? Okay, but a few of you. Okay. So a sleep disorder is generally something that you would struggle for a long period of time. And there is 64 different type of sleep disorders that is registered within the medical field. So it's quite a lot, and most people don't really know what those are. So this particular talk isn't about sleep disorders. So for those of you who have been really struggling for a long period of time, I would suggest that you don't self-diagnose. Go and seek help, because it might be something that you can get diagnosed for, and that will solve all your sleep issues. So don't be worried about seeking medical help for it. Let's pause here for a moment and think about your situation. So what is great sleep? And what does that mean for you personally? So I just want you to take a couple of moments and just think about what is great sleep for you. Is it that you can switch off easily in the evening? Is it that you have sleep that is not disturbed during the night? Is great sleep something that has a particular number of hours around it? And what about your energy levels? Is that how you know you had a good sleep? Great sleep is because you have enough energy during the day? Those are some of the things that I hear from clients when we go through this question. And why is it important? Someone who struggles with their sleep and gets woken up several times a night, their definition of great sleep will be very different to someone who's had really good sleep for years to come, but they just want to improve it a little bit. So it's really important for us to understand what great sleep is for us, because it helps us to learn new tools and techniques that looks at how our sleep needs to develop and progress. So these are very different from someone who can't switch off to someone who wakes up in the middle of the night, which is why it's important for you guys to have a better understanding of what is that great sleep for you. And then that helps a lot when it comes to my clients improving their sleep, because first step for someone who has got disturbed sleep overnight will be that they just want to have less disturbance first. So you can then gradually start improving your sleep over time. It's never an overnight fix. It generally takes time. So some of the things that comes with great sleep is you have the right amount of and the right balance of the sleep stages. You have the right amount of sleep, number of hours you sleep, which is personal to you. Often when we look at amount of sleep we need, that will have to do a lot with how healthy your body is. So if somebody, again a client example, if a client comes to me who, for example, has MS, their great sleep is going to be very different to someone who is completely healthy. Their sleep needs will be very different than if someone is completely healthy. Then you look at the more intangible ones, you know, the refreshing, the relaxing, and how can you assure that you have refreshing and relaxing sleep? The next part is peak performance. So again, why do we want to sleep so well? It's because we want to be able to perform really well during the day. This is where, you know, when we don't sleep so well, we start to really get concerned about what we can produce during the day. So it's also good to understand, what does peak performance mean to you? It's not necessarily running a marathon. It might be just being mentally alert throughout your entire day. So it's also, during my work, it's important to understand, what do you want to achieve with the good sleep that you will have in the coming months? So some of the examples here again is maximizing your abilities, being able to have the confidence to produce the work. And confidence is also having the confidence to know that you will sleep really well consistently at night. And if you struggled with your sleep, and I experienced that as well, sometimes you're dreading the night because you just don't know if you're actually gonna have good sleep at all. Making easy decisions. So when we're tired in the morning, the first hour and having to make so many decisions can be really daunting as well, because we just don't have the mental space to make those decisions. Concentration is affected, and clarity is definitely affected. A lot of the times we talk about mind fog when we didn't have good sleep, because that's exactly how it feels. So the next part that I want to discuss with you or share with you is pillars of great sleep. When you really start to understand what are the elements of sleep that are not really going so well, you can just focus on that, rather than trying to change so many different things that at the end of the day you don't know what has worked and what hasn't worked. So the first one is switching off easily in the evening and being able to get off to sleep within sort of the 5-15 minutes from getting into bed. So how many of you struggle with switching off in the evening? Okay. The next one is sleeping through the night peacefully, so you don't have any disruptions, any disturbances. So how many of you struggle to sleep through the night? Okay, it's a bigger percentage. The next one is waking up mentally and physically. And of course, if you haven't been able to switch off and you've been lying in bed for hours before you actually get to sleep, or you wake up in the middle of the night, waking up tired in the morning will be something that will just happen. The next one is being able to maintain your energy levels throughout the entire day. So we're coming up to 2 o'clock or 2:30 in the afternoon now, and we're starting to, a lot of us, when we struggle with sleep, we're starting to have our energy levels lower, and we start to feel more tired before our energy levels come pick up again. So these are the 4 things that will really help you to guide you to find the right practical tools for you. And what I would suggest is you pick one pillar. Why? It's because if you start doing too many things, you just don't know what's going to work. And I've seen that with client work all the time. When you focus on just one pillar and just improve that pillar, you will start to be able to get closer to that great night's sleep that we started defining at the beginning of the talk. And the tools and the techniques you want to put in place are very different if you find it hard to switch off or if you can't sleep through the night. This is why it's really important for you to understand what are the elements of sleep that you really struggle with. Think about what's in your toolbox. Look for practical tools and look for things that personally work with who you are and your personality type. And that's really important. So the choice is yours. Sleep can be developed. It's a skill that you can develop over years. The only exception if you actually have a sleep disorder. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.